Hey guys, it's Will here, welcome back to the channel. Tonight I want to talk a bit about my Space Marines and kind of what's been going on with them lately because yeah, in theory Space Marines are amazing right now. They're making up like 50% of the top tables at most competitive tournaments, huge part of the meta, really strong army with loads of builds. They've certainly gone from being an army that was a bit underpowered 6 months ago to an army that's probably gone too much the other way. You know, GW wanted to make Space Marines better, and they needed to make Space Marines better, but I think they've gone a bit too far. But anyway, so despite all of this, I keep losing with my Space Marines. If you've been watching my bat reps recently, you see I've not just been losing slightly, I've been having my arse handed to me. It's been brutal. So yeah, what's going on? Why am I losing with them even though they're really strong? And yeah, this video was sort of some of the stuff me and Sam touched on in our post-game conversation on the last bat rep, where my Scythes took on his Tyranids, but I'm going to have some sort of other thoughts as well, and I'm kind of thinking, why am I losing and what am I going to do about it? You know, because yeah, while I'm not like a sore loser or like someone who's like a hyper-competitive player, you know, nobody likes losing, you know, want to play to win, give himself the best chance at least, and, you know, at least give my opponent a game rather than, you know, just be there to get shot to bits. So it's going to be a little bit sort of rambling at some points, maybe a little bit sort of stream of thought, just some ideas I've had. But yeah, this is why I think I am losing with my Space Marines. And the first point is just I need more practice. I've not had a huge number of games since the new Codex came out, probably no more than 6 games, because I've been dabbling in other things, whether it be Age of Sigmar or playing my Eldar, or just having not had too many games because I've been away or stuff's been happening. So yeah, you know, it happens. Hopefully I get some more games in and looking to try and get more games against a variety of different opponents. And this is really shown in a few big mistakes I've made in some of the bat reps and in some of my non-bat repped games as well. For example, in a recent game I had a intercessor squad that were not all in range or didn't all have line of sight, and I wanted them to stand still on the hole so they could double tap the bolt as it was first turn, so we weren't in tactical doctrine yet. So I just moved the 2 guys that were out of line of sight so they could get to fire as well, and even though they were only going to get 1 shot. And then my opponent very correctly pointed out to me that if anyone in the squad had moved, you lose the benefit of bolter discipline, so we were all firing 1 shot. And it's just little things like that, just not quite knowing the rules in depth, that you just get through practice. So that's my first plan, to try and remedy this, is practice, practice, practice. You know, if I want to get good with Marines, I'm going to need to focus on actually playing Marines, not perhaps exclusively, but the majority of the time, maybe as my sort of exclusive 40k army for a while. Obviously I'll be dabbling in Age of Sigmar as well, but you know, when I'm playing 40k, I kind of want to be learning the Marines. Second thing is just the survival rate of my squads and my army. I'm just dying too fast. Marines have an impressive damage output, and most of the buffs in the new Codex, with a few exceptions, have really been to buff the damage output to quite stupendous levels. But you don't actually live any longer. Outside of a few certain tricks, you know, you guys are still going to get shot if they're out in the open. And you know, you can have the best guns in the world, but if they only get to fire once before they get blown off the board, they ain't going to win you the game. You need the bodies around to hold the objectives, and, you know, dead men don't fire back. So what am I going to do about this? Well, part of it is going to be coming down to chapter traits, which you probably saw in my last bat rep. I'm actually doing custom chapter traits now rather than just running Ultramarines, basically just treating them as Ultramarines. You know, the Scythes of the Emperor, while an Ultramarine successor, are their distinct own chapter, and yeah, so I can pick my own chapter traits. almost certainly going to run stealthy there. That +1 or counts as in cover at over 12 inches is really good. It's certainly come up in a few games where it saved some guys. Not so much the 2 up versus a 3 up, but when you're being hit by -1 AP weapons, still having that 3 up versus a 4 up is a big difference. And you know, if you can get them to consistently have a 2 up, then that's really strong as well. And to be honest, most of the weapons in my force don't need to be within 12 inches most of the time, so we can really make good use of that. Still not quite set on my other chapter trait. I'm considering, what's it called? Steadfast? Spacing on the name right now, but it's the one where you can't be wounded on a 2+. Might be quite handy. Try and keep my guys alive a bit longer, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Got a few things to test out. Other than that, it's going to be about better deployment, better use of cover, you know, trying to cut down line of sight where necessary, rather than just assuming that because I'm wearing power armour I'm pretty safe, which in previous editions, you know, Space Marines didn't get a lot from cover because of the way saves worked in the past, so I've been used to just deploying Marines in the open. But, you know, we'll see how that goes down. That kind of links back to having more practice. And also looking at possibly transport options. At the moment I have a repulsor that I'm regularly running, and it certainly keeps the squad alive but attracts a lot of firepower. Looking at possibly trying out some impulsors, maybe drop pods, maybe razorbacks, having that sort of those harder targets, so before my opponent can actually shoot my Marines, he's got to shoot through a tank first. And I've been thinking, you know, a decent sized tank not only protects the guys inside, but can also protect a squad behind it. So if your opponent's got first turn, you know, your tank's up in front, he'll shoot that, and you have to shoot through that before he can shoot the squad behind it, and then in your first turn you just move that tank to the side if it hasn't already been blown up, and then the squad behind can shoot. So a nice little trick I'm coming up with to protect them a little bit more. But yeah, kind of need to keep my guys on the board a little bit longer to actually do their job. And the final thing that kind of links to this as well is the list. So I've kind of just been playing what I've got, you know, haven't got a huge selection to pick from with the Sides of the Emperor at the moment, but Marines have the biggest list of possible units, which is great from the point of view of you've got an option for everything, but it's tricky because you kind of want to take a bit of everything, and it's like, okay, well, I've got maybe 5 different options for infantry with long-range anti-tank shooting, you know, which one do I actually pick? And so it's going to be a lot to do in terms of finding out what is going to be the best units to pick. And then redundancy, something that kind of known in the back of my mind for a while but never really employed with 40k, is that if you've got something good, you want more than one of them. You know, most units, you're going to want to duplicate them up where necessary or where possible. You know, one squad that's good at something is good, but once they're gone, they're gone. If you've got 2 or 3 squads that are all the same, then your opponent has to deal with all of them if they're all really good, you know. It's kind of a bit spammy, and as a painter it's a bit frustrating to paint lots and lots of the same model. You know, I like variety in my collections, but if I want to turn my game up a little bit, I'm going to have to try and work on getting some redundancy in there. Still kind of working out what units I might need to actually, you know, include multiples of, although I have some ideas. But yeah, we shall have to see about that. And a lot of the list changes are going to have to hold back for a couple of weeks until the new chapter approved's out, because new points, new game types may affect what, you know, the optimal is. You know, I don't want to go out and buy a load of stuff and then find out in 10 days time it's suddenly no use to me anymore. So holding off a little bit on that, but in the meantime I have got stuff to paint. One thing my list is definitely lacking at the moment is CP. Now Marines have some really good stratagems, including a lot that you want to buy before the game, such as Chapter Master. I'm going to want more troops to give me those more CP. With that in mind, I am working on some more intercessors and also an extra squad of scouts, so I've got those troops choices to bulk the force out and give me the CP I need to actually make the most of the stratagems. But yeah, over the coming months you'll probably see a lot of Marines on the channel. Not going to be exclusively Marines, you know, going to feature some other stuff as well. Thanks for all the positive comments on the Age of Sigmar bat rep. Hopefully do another one of those soon, get some other Age of Sigmar content out. But yeah, if you like Marines, stay tuned. And yeah, I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.